HRT increase my risks of contracting STI?
A very good question. Your risk for STI is usually about how you have sex and who you have sex with. If you imagine that the type of sex that you have might change because you start liking new things or new activities. So the risk for STIs, especially if you start on hormone therapy, I wouldn't expect it to change a lot for trans women and trans feminine people. Because if your sexual activities and your sexual partners don't change like before, you wouldn't expect your tissue to change either. There is no significant change of, for example, the penis skin doesn't change significantly. The only change is that it becomes more difficult to get an erection and that it might be more difficult to penetrate. So it might be less likely that you get sexual transmittable disease of the penis. Anal sex, if people have anal sex, that can still happen because there's not much changing there. And the same with oral sex. You can't, there's no major changes of the oral mucosa. So it's all about the type of sex you have. And it's good to know that for people that use the feminizing hormones, there's not that many things that increase. It's more the surroundings of how you're treated by the environment or what kind of people want to have sex with you that might put you at risk for sexual transmitted diseases. So what a lot of trans women report is that they're more sexualized, that they're more fetishized sometimes, but also that they're more often victims of sexual harassment, verbal harassment, but also physical harassment. So those type of activities, of course, put you at risk of getting sexual transmitted diseases just by having sex forced upon you and not being able to make the decisions that are good for you in regards to protecting yourself.
Okay.
And for example, with trans men who use testosterone, there we do see that there's a change of the mucosa and that for them there is a slight increase of sexual risk. But for trans women, trans feminine people, there's no risk in the mucosa, but there's more the risk of how environment might be sexually unsafe for you.
Okay.
I think that's also why it's so important to make people comfortable to also talk about sex, because we know that a lot of people are in a vulnerable situation where maybe hormones can be expensive. You might be getting very dependent on other people to accept you, and that might cause you to make choices that aren't the best in your interest, but that you just do for safety. So whether it comes to people being in unsafe relationships, or sometimes people going over their own sexual boundaries, or being exploited, or doing sex work to be able to afford certain procedures, all those kind of things are like, I never judge people about it, because it's not something that a lot of people choose for themselves, but that the environment and the society has chosen for them. So make people aware of, okay, what can you do to protect yourself for just being sexually active? Like what kind of sexual protective measures exist, and how can you protect yourself also in dangerous situations or in situations where you have more risk, and whether that is with sex work or within a relationship that is unhealthy because you're exploring and you're not always prepared of what other people expect from you. Those kind of recommendations are always good to discuss. How can you keep yourself safe? Not because transition makes you more vulnerable, but society makes you more vulnerable to sexually transmitted infections.